When you think about the defense industry, you probably picture classified projects, shadowy figures, and budgets with so many zeros they just don't seem real. But what if I told you that underneath all that complexity, it runs on the exact same rules as a neighborhood lemonade stand? Seriously, today we're going to pull back the curtain and use a super simple business blueprint to figure out how the multi-trillion-dollar business of war actually works. First things first, let's just get a sense of the scale we're dealing with. Look at this number. That's $1.5 trillion. That's the proposed U.S. defense budget. For the companies in this industry, that's not just some abstract government figure, it's basically the total size of the market from a single gigantic customer. So that's the big question, right? How does a business with a market that big even function? Let's forget the cable news headlines for a second. We're going to break this whole thing down using a really simple but powerful framework that explains how literally every successful business operates, from a food truck to a global tech giant. At its absolute core, any business, no matter what it sells, has one main goal: to make a profit. It all boils down to this one simple formula. You take all the money you bring in, that's your revenue, and you subtract everything it costs you to make your product and run your operations. What's left over? That's your profit. It's the engine for everything else. And it turns out, every single successful business on Earth is built on these 5 core parts. You have to create something of value, you've got to market it, sell it, deliver it to your customer, and you have to manage the money. If any one of these 5 pieces breaks, the whole thing just falls apart. This right here, this is the master key we're going to use to unlock the defense industry. All right, let's do it. Let's take that 5-part blueprint and apply it directly to the defense industry. We're going to see exactly how it designs, builds, and sells some of the most advanced and expensive technology in the world. Okay, part 1, value creation. This is where it all begins. In this business, value creation means actually designing and building the hardware. We're talking about the incredible process of turning raw ideas and raw materials into incredibly sophisticated weapon systems. And check out just how futuristic this process has become. Instead of an engineer sketching a part on a computer, they now feed a set of rules, like it needs to be this strong but way less than this, into an AI. The AI then evolves thousands of potential designs to find the absolute most efficient one. And get this, before they even touch a piece of metal, they build a perfect digital twin, a virtual replica, and test fire it millions of times in a simulation to work out every single kink. So, once that digital design is perfect, the real-world production kicks in. You've got these incredible CNC machines, basically robotic sculptors carving precise parts out of solid blocks of aluminum. For the really complex stuff, like the intricate insides of a suppressor, they use a wild form of 3D metal printing. And for parts that need to be insanely durable, like a rifle barrel, they use a process called cold hammer forging, which literally pounds and compresses the steel into its final hardened shape. Okay, so you've created value. You've built an amazing, high-tech product. Now what? Who do you actually sell it to? This is where the defense industry's business model gets, well, really unique. Think about a company like Apple. They market and sell their iPhones to hundreds of millions of individual people, like you and me. But in the defense industry, the customer list is a lot shorter. In fact, for most of these massive companies, there's really only one customer that matters: the government, the state. And that changes the sales game completely. So, what happens is you get a handful of giant companies, the Lockheeds, the Raytheons, acting as the main architects. They're the ones who win the massive multi-billion-dollar government contracts. But they don't build everything themselves. No way. They manage this huge pyramid of thousands of smaller, specialized subcontractors who build all the individual widgets and microchips that go into the final product. It's a vast, interconnected web, all feeding that one primary customer. Now, part 4 is value delivery. That's the whole logistical puzzle of actually getting the tanks and planes to the customer. It's a huge deal, but it's totally wrapped up in the 5th and final part of our blueprint: finance. Because you can't deliver anything if you can't afford the raw materials, and right now, the costs of those materials are a massive factor. Welcome to what some are calling the commodity wars. Just look at copper. Its price is going through the roof right now because of this triple demand squeeze. You've got the tech industry gobbling it up for AI data centers. At the same time, the defense industry needs tons of it for munitions. And on top of all that, new trade tariffs are making it more expensive to import. So the raw materials themselves have become this huge financial battleground. And that battle has a very real price tag. As of right now, one single metric ton of copper costs over $12,500. Now imagine you're making millions of rounds of ammunition or thousands of armored vehicles. That cost adds up unbelievably fast, and managing it becomes one of the biggest financial challenges these companies face.
So that brings up a good question. Where does the government get all the money to pay for this stuff? Well, it comes from us, from taxes. While corporations pay income tax, that's about 10% of the total pie, the vast majority comes from individual income taxes and payroll taxes. So the profits from all businesses, including defense contractors, and the taxes paid by their employees flow back to the government, which then uses that money to buy more things. It creates this complete, self-sustaining financial loop.
Okay, so now that we've got the basic business model down, let's look at what's happening on the ground right now. Because this entire industry is going through some of the biggest technological and strategic shifts it's seen in decades.
The pace of change here is just staggering. I mean, think about it. Just a few short years ago, the cutting edge was all about niche tactical gear for special forces. Today, suppressors are becoming standard issue for everyone. AI-powered targeting is the new normal, and the whole idea of production is shifting away from giant factories towards smaller, domestic, micro-factories. So let's just zero in on the three biggest trends that are defining the industry today. First, you've got this massive suppressor boom, which is only possible because of that advanced 3D metal printing we talked about. Second, the explosion of smart scopes that have tiny AI computers inside doing real-time ballistic calculations for the shooter. And third, there's this huge government-driven push to reshore the entire supply chain and bring manufacturing back home to the US. And this whole reshoring thing, it's not just a friendly suggestion. It's being written into policy. A new executive order is actively discouraging companies from spending their profits on things like stock buybacks. Instead, it's pushing them hard to reinvest that capital into building brand new, modern production lines right here in the US. The goal is to make the domestic supply chain rock solid.
So when you peel it all back, the defense industry runs on the same 5 principles as any other business. But its unique relationship with its customer, its incredible scale, and its vital role in national security make it this powerful, maybe even primary driver of technological change. And that leaves us with a pretty wild question to think about. When you have technology, profit, and national security all merging and accelerating each other like this, what in the world comes next?